Yeah, I think the biggest mistake I see people make is that they think the arrest is the worst part of the case. And honestly, a lot of times the arrest is just the beginning of the case. The decision somebody makes in the first few hours or first few days after an arrest can have a massive impact on what happens later. The first mistake is probably talking too much. People are naturally trying to explain themselves. They think if I can just tell the officer what happened, they'll understand. But law enforcement officers are not sitting there trying to decide whether or not you're innocent or guilty. They are collecting evidence to support somebody getting arrested. That's how they diffuse situations. That's how they are approaching an investigation. They're trying to say, is there something I can arrest someone for? Not just, can I figure this situation out? Sometimes the very thing a person says because they think it will help becomes the moment that gets used against them later. Your words are evidence. The second mistake is trying to handle everything on your own. A lot of people think I'll just explain this to the prosecutor. Maybe they show up to court. Did not go well the first time, but they say, I'll just show them the texts. I'll just tell the judge what really happened. And you can't even talk to the judge on your court date. That's very rare that they let you talk to a judge on a court date for a Class B, Class A, or certainly not a felony. The criminal justice system just does not work like a normal conversation. There are rules of evidence, procedure, deadlines, strategy in how we handle things that really matter. I think the third thing I would say, the mistake that we see, is that people wait too long to get advice. A criminal case is not like a bill that you can ignore and deal with it later. Evidence can disappear. Witnesses forget things. Surveillance videos often get overwritten. People's memories change. The earlier you start understanding what's actually happening, the more. Okay, so what about someone who says, I'm innocent, so I don't need a lawyer. The truth will come out. We get that question a lot. I understand why people feel that way, but the truth does not automatically come out in a courtroom. A courtroom is not a place where everybody sits down and just tells their side of the story and the judge figures out who's right. There are rules, there are procedures, there are things that can be admitted and things that cannot. There are defenses that have to be raised properly, legal issues that have to be identified. I've seen people with good cases hurt themselves because they handle things emotionally instead of strategically. The criminal justice system itself is an adversarial system. That means the government has attorneys, police department, they have investigators, and prosecutors have resources that work actively against you. And our client needs somebody who understands how that system works. What is something that most people don't understand about criminal defense? I think the biggest misconception is that criminal defense lawyers are trying to get guilty people off. That's not necessarily what the job is. The job is making sure that your rights are protected, that the government follows the law. The Constitution gives every person rights because the power of the government is substantial. A criminal defense attorney's role is to make sure that evidence was obtained legally, procedures were followed, and the government actually can prove a case if they are trying to do that. If they cannot, then that person is not guilty. The standard in a criminal case is not that it probably happened. The standard is that the government has to prove it did happen beyond a reasonable doubt. And that matters because the consequences of a conviction can affect someone's entire life, their freedom, their career, their family, their reputation, everything. So what should somebody do immediately after they are arrested? I would say the first thing is to stay calm. Don't make the situation worse. Don't argue with the officers. Don't try to talk your way out of something. Don't post about it online. Don't start texting everybody involved, trying to explain what happened. You want to understand your rights. You have a right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. Using those rights isn't admitting that you're guilty. It is protecting yourself. And then get somebody who understands the specific type of case you're dealing with and the court system where your case is located. All right, next question. After handling so many criminal cases, what is something you wish every person knew? Well, I wish people understood that one bad decision or accusation or mistake does not have to define the rest of their life. You do have to take it seriously, but the people who do the best are usually the people who get informed early, make good decisions post-arrest, and avoid making emotional decisions that create bigger problems. A criminal charge is a serious moment in the case, but it is also a moment where it can be dealt with through good preparation. The outcome is going to be affected by what you do next.